Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with another On the Water with Dustin White. How you doing, Dustin?
Doing well, Marvin. How are you?
As always, I'm just trying to stay out of trouble, and you were sharing with me you're on one of those 30-day guide grinds.
Yeah, we're nearing the end of it, but this is, the busy time of year and the calendar filled up pretty quick. So, it's just kind of every day on the water, but I'm really, really fortunate that it's fishing, good on just about every system we've got. And I love getting to hang out with old friends and new on the water. So, little fatigue, little raccoon eyes happening, but all is well.
Yeah, and so just to let folks know, how many days are you out of your 30 days straight?
26.
Oof.
So we're nearing the end. Yeah, we're at the tail end of that. And then have two I have 2 days off and then start like a 20-day stint after that. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a reprieve, but right back to it.
Yeah, so how are you going to celebrate at the end of the 30th day?
Oh, probably a little cocktail at the end of the day and an early night to bed.
Well, there,
That's that's probably it.
well, there you go. And we were talking a little bit about conditions, and I know you've been fishing the mile a lot recently. What are you seeing there, and on the reef and on the Bighorn?
Yeah, each of them are going to have some similarities. Some are going to be a little different. Mile CFS is at 2,800, which is ripping. It's moving pretty quick. The fish are eating, a lot of midges. Still, a lot of betas are being taken by fish. Not too much surface because as fast as that water is moving, there's not a lot of soft water for them to come up and eat on the surface. But we do have some eating some emergers a little shallower in the water column on the edges. And as us guides, we get really excited at this time of year when the suckers start spawning because the trout will stack up behind the suckers and really gorge themselves on sucker eggs. And so if folks have sucker spawn patterns or something that mimics that, you're going to find some pretty good success with it.
Yeah, bring your Y2K box, right?
Exactly. In terms of the reef, blue wings and midges are the name of the game right now. Really pleasantly surprised. I've seen a number of fish eating on the surface and quite a few more eating emergers just below the surface. So reef's been fishing really, really well. They did take our water down to 1,000 CFS. So, we had been up to 2 grand, and then they dropped it back down to 1,000 because Glendo, downstream of us, has had some flooding issues with the rain that we'd had over the last couple weeks. So they're trying to hold water back to, alleviate some of that moving through that drainage there. Bighorn, still name of the game, scud, style bugs, blue wing. Everything is rocking and rolling there on all systems. And the streamer game up there has been pretty efficient as well. So, all those have been really, really well.
And so how's everything in the impoundments and carpland?
Oh, it's been great. Carp are stacking up on flats now. You still have a good number of them that are spawning, but we're starting to see much more cruising carp that are coming out of spawn mode, really eager to eat and recoup some calories and regain some energy after that process. So it's dynamic, flats fishing for carp. It's been a ton of fun. I know you and I were chatting before, but any day I can either be on the mile or carping, I'm taking advantage of it right now. Both are so good.
Yeah, was that your picture of the doubled up carp on the Bugs Instagram feed?
Yeah, that was two of my great clients, Mick and Brad, and they had never done it before, and had just a banger day and just a fantastic time on their trip here, and got some really great carp.
Oh, that's awesome. And I've got a question for you from Riley Fat Bear Fishing McDowell. Uh,
Sure.
yeah, and he wanted to get your thoughts on how you decide to fish a water column other than the bottom of the river.
Yeah, observation is going to be one thing, right? And so um, Well, part of that is, yes, a lot of times trout are going to be hanging, about a foot and a half off the bottom. A lot of times you're going to be, sitting in water that's generally moving around 2 to 3 feet per second. But when they're keyed in on bugs, right? So, here on a tailwater, we're going to have a few different classifications of the flies we're using. So, a lot of times we just, as guys, call it junk rigs or bug rigs. Junk rigs are going to be, if you have an egg on, if you're fishing a leech pattern, a worm, that sort of thing. Those aren't going to be food sources that necessarily emerge, but bugs do, aquatic insects do emerge. And so one simple observation is, do you see swirls happening below the surface? Generally speaking, it's not going to be down the gut in the run, but it's going to be in softer water on the edges. It's going to be in tail outs. It might be in some not super rapid moving ripple sections. But if you're seeing those swirls that are not hydraulics, if you sit there and pay attention to it and you're seeing swirls, it's a pretty good idea that trout are sitting there. Right now, we have trout that have moved into, particularly on the gray reef, that have moved into the edges of water, sit in the soft stuff, not in the gut. Why they do that? Food source could be over there. They could also be spooked over there by the amount of boats. If there's if it's coming off a weekend where there's a lot of pressure, those fish might move in, out of the run where they've been, being exploited a little bit by anglers. And so the food source they're going to eat in the shallower, softer water is going to be, suspended in the water column. So if you know your bugs and you're down at depth and you're not getting takes, it's probably an indicator that the fish are eating higher in the water column. So even if you're not seeing those swirls and you start heavy and you start long and you're ticking bottom and getting a false take within every 20 seconds and really are fishing, lines, the fish are on and they're not taking it, you shorten up, lighten up, you might be surprised to find that fish are going to be eating, a few feet just below the surface. And so, but those observation skills of, watching that is pretty key. And so that's a great question for Riley.
Yeah. And do you have enough bird activity on the water for that to kind of be a clue when things really start popping?
Oh, yeah. Yep. So, a lot of times that's a great indicator. When we look at our swallows, those swallows really are going to tell us. And also the seagulls are going to be pecking at emergers coming up. And so that's a really good indicator of whether it's, fish are eating, the subimago bugs that are floating up to the surface and as they're maturing, or if it's spinners, right? Those are two different scenarios of where fish might be eating near the surface, and the birds will tell you that. So if you're seeing swallows that are low on the water, that's a pretty good indicator that trout are going to be probably under them in soft water, eating just under the surface. If those swallows are still 18, 30 feet in the air, eating the duns that are descending, then it might not be the time yet, but it might be coming. So the birds are definitely a great indicator of that as well.
Well, folks, and we love questions at the Articulate Fly. You can email me, you can DM us on social media, whatever's easiest for you. If we use your question, I will send you some Articulate Fly swag, and we're going to announce this pretty soon, what we're going to have a drawing for. But at the end of the season, we're going to have something cool from Dustin. And Dustin, before I let you go to enjoy your 26th evening off the water in a row, you want to let folks know where they can find you at the Bug so they can book in fish with you?
Yep. You can give us a call down at the Ugly Bug. Our number is 307-234-6905. You can find me on Instagram at Dustin James White, and be happy to take you out in the water, find some dates, and find some good fish.
Well, there you go. Well, listen, folks, you owe it to yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Dustin.
Tight lines, Marvin. Thanks so much.